I'm Marisa Kakulis, and I'm a lawyer and a writer, and I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I get tons and tons of emails and messages about people who are heavily tattooed feeling they were discriminated against either as an employee or going to look for a job. And I get tons of those emails, and I think it's sometimes clouded how I feel about employment discrimination, because I'll have someone who'll get, a big neck tattoo, and that's the only tattoo they have, and then complain that they can't get a job. And while discrimination is wrong, of course, sometimes I have to balance my feelings out when it comes to that. There's the law, which says that in general, employers can discriminate as long as it doesn't violate Title VII of the Civil Rights Act and other federal laws like the ADA, like Disabilities Act. And states also have sometimes stronger appearance-based discrimination laws. For example, weight discrimination. There's some states that protect people from discrimination because they're overweight. But in general, the law, the courts have protected companies as long as they offer some type of reasonableness in this discrimination, a reasonable accommodation of an appearance-based claim. There's the Cloutier v. Costco case where a woman sued Costco because they wouldn't let her keep her facial piercing, and that went up to the courts. And what the courts looked at was this reasonable accommodation. Costco said, well, you can keep this clear retainer, so therefore you wouldn't violate. I should back up and say she claimed she was a member of the Church of Body Modification, and piercing was part of her religion, and that was the basis on which she sued. And the court didn't talk about whether the Church of Body Modification was like a bona fide religion. They said, well, Costco did this reasonable accommodation where she could keep a clear retainer so the piercing wouldn't close up. It's still a piercing in a sense, and it just couldn't be a piece of jewelry. And they found for Costco. But it was very interesting that it was brought up under Title VII and based on religion. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission came in and supported an employee of Red Robin Restaurants. And he had wrist tattoos that were visible, and he claimed it was part of his Kemetic faith that he get these religious tattoos and they show. And in that case, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission stood behind the employee and said, hey, this really is very much part of that religion, and we're going to back this, this claim. And they settled out, and then Red Robin changed its policies, its dress code policies, to allow for appearance issues related to religious beliefs. So if you had a tattoo that was really, really about religion, it's a big part of your religion, then they would allow it. Discrimination is wrong. It happens all the time. In that job interview, you may be judged by what you're wearing, your hair, your accent. I had to get rid of my Brooklyn accent. I still have it, it's still there, but this is way before the tattoo. So there's always appearance-based discrimination out there. Tattoos is just one part of that. It would be great if we didn't have to deal with this. I think it should be fought. I think it should be vocal. But at the same time, I like the backdoor approach as well. I worked very hard in very conservative offices, and they had no idea I was heavily tattooed. But when they did find out, at that point I was there making them a lot of money. And I showed my value. And so it didn't matter. But if I had showed up to the interview showing my tattoos, I may not have gotten that opportunity to change their minds. So I believe in banging on the doors and also sneaking in from the other side. And if we could do that two-prong approach to kind of change that discrimination, I don't think it's a bad thing to say cover up, if you have that in mind, if you want to change people's minds. Mm-hmm. So if you are discriminated against in the workplace and you want to bring an action, you can contact the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and if Google it, you'll find it online. You can call them, look at their site too, because there's a lot of resources. But you have to file a complaint within 180 days of the disputed conduct. And you can go through them and get advice on how you want to proceed. And sometimes, if they think they have a valid claim, they'll back you up, and they will try to negotiate or come to some agreement with the employer. And other times it can go to court, and they may be backing you up. I know the ACLU has also taken on discrimination cases. So those are ways you can actually pursue a claim. If you're not getting help from, say, the EEOC or the ACLU, you're going to be looking at some money and in getting a lawyer and pursuing it. So you also have to weigh that. But if you really love your job, if you think this is a great injustice, then pursue it. But understand that it could take a long time. It could take a lot of money too.